The views and opinions on the Craig L. Hayes Show do not necessarily reflect those of Westgate Resorts, ownership, or management. And now, on with the show.
Extra, extra, read all about it. Get your copies while they last. Stop the presses.
And now for something completely different.
There's no business like show business. Are we not entertained? Prepare yourself for a little sensory overload. Stand by to roll show intro. Roll show intro in 3, 2, 1, go.
It's showtime! The Craig L. Hayes Show.
Hello, America, family, friends, and listeners all around this planet we call home. This is It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show. Welcome to the show today. It is the 22nd of February, 2026, and we are broadcasting live and recording live, I should say, from the Westgate Resort here in Las Vegas, Nevada, in Elvis Presley's dressing room in the International Showroom. Before we get started, I just want to put a special thanks out to the people who make this possible, to Cammie Christensen. She's the president of the hotel and a big supporter of the show. And Dawn Rawl, she is the vice president of marketing and entertainment. Thank you very much again. And John Peer, the technical director of this showroom here and all things entertainment on this property. Thank you all for the continued support and allowing me to do this history of Las Vegas and showrooms and all the things that go on in this town. We're going to continue with that theme, and I'm bringing back today somebody I've known for a couple years here and there, and he came into this hotel. He's got to remind me, I think it was around 2004, 2005, somewhere around there. And he was my boss. And, he was my boss as long as I allowed him to be my boss. So, a good friend, and I'm so happy he was able to come back to the West Coast. He's been on the East Coast for almost 10 years, I guess. And it's so great to have him back here and have a little chat about entertainment and his life in entertainment and all the crazy stuff that we did over the years. His name is Tony Tauber. Tony, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, and I'm glad to be here. At this point, with all these decades that I've been around, I'm glad to be upright and functioning. You know, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it is.
Greg, I got to be honest, I feel really blessed. I mean, I had a great career. I have no regrets at all. I've been very, very fortunate. You want me to just do a quick synopsis of how I got
Why
started?
don't you tell us about your youth? Just go back and give us just a little bit of history. Tell me a little bit about your youth, where you're born, raised, and what you did. And then the magic question is, when you get to that point after high school and stuff like that, how did you get into the biz?
Gotcha. Well, born in Allentown, Pennsylvania, then right next to Bethlehem, the big steel town of industry, and my father was an engineer for Mack Trucks, and that was the headquarters, world headquarters for Mack Trucks, one of the big industries there. Background in my pre-high school years, my father gave me his 51 Chevy, and he said, if you're going to have a vehicle, you need to learn how to tune it and make it work. So my brother and I, brother's 2 years younger, we worked on this 51 Chevy, learned how to tune it and all those basics, things you can't do with a vehicle these days.
No.
All you can do is open the hood, look at it, and say, oh, let's take it to the dealership. So as far as while I was in high school, my father wanted me to become an IBM. IBM was becoming really big at the time. They had key punch cards. That's how long ago it was. We're talking early 60s. So my sophomore year of high school, after school each night, I would go to, it was a business school, and I was learning to be an IBM programmer. Well, after about a year of that, most of the peoples that attended the class, we're talking early 60s now, so we would take a, quote, cigarette break, which is unheard of these days, and we'd go out, and like I said, the guys were a few years older than myself and had the sport jackets with the leather patches on the elbows, and they were smoking pipes. And not the pipes of today, just it was pipe tobacco. And they're talking about the golden watch and retiring and working for these companies. And that from day one, that did not register with me. I'm thinking, this is not what, it just didn't, I wasn't a fit with that.
Yeah.
And my father was really not pleased with that, but, I went through it. And for that was 2 years I did that, and then I picked up a summer job working in an ice plant in Allentown. And back in the day, ice was done in ice plants, put in large bags, taken to. They didn't have the automatic ice machines, so it was taken to bars and restaurants and seafood houses and things like that. And since it was an ice plant, the gentleman that owned it, Allentown is right next to Bethlehem Steel, and the gentleman that married into the ice plant company, he was a engineer, refrigeration engineer during World War II, and he said, look, we're producing this cold salt water to freeze the ice. Let's just make it a little cooler and give it another home before it comes back to the compressors. So he went to Bethlehem Steel and bought the pipe seconds, 1.25 inch ID steel pipes, buried them in a sand base, and when the cold salt water came out of it was a gigantic swimming pool that had covers over it. When the ice was frozen, the cold refrigerant would go through these pipes that are in the floor, became an ice floor. And at the first year, it had a gigantic tent over it, and then he was able to find these laminated wood arches that were built in. They were mostly for municipal buildings. A lot of use was in church facilities. So gigantic arches. He bought the fall-off units that would have been rejected and put them up as his arches for his roof. So now he's got an ice floor. Now he's got a roof. Put side walls on it, and now he's got an ice rink that runs 24/7. It was the first one in the area.
Wow.
So I worked in the ice plant for a year, and when they opened their full season, I'm still in school, they needed a rink guard, more than one, but I became one of them. And since he was in the Air Force as a refrigeration engineer, through his contacts with the PX, he got these Air Force jackets that were fur-lined and all, and you'd skate around the rink with a whistle and keep everybody going in the right direction and all of that. And so that's how I learned how to skate. Okay. I learned on hockey skates, and then in that same year, I went to Hershey, Pennsylvania, and saw the Ice Capades. And I was fascinated with, I didn't know what I was looking at the time, but I was fascinated with where the sound area was set up on stage left, and saw these lights flashing and someone operating. I didn't know what it was at the time, and I was fascinated with that. And like I said, I've been really fortunate in my career, because in that year, the ice show was bought out by Metro Media, which was a big television and advertising company. Metro Media had TV, radio stations all over the U.S. They also bought Foster and Kleiser billboards, the old billboards that had either painted or they'd have a wallpaper on them, all over the U.S., and then TV and radio stations. So this company Metro Media bought the ice show and decided, look, we've got free publicity now that we own all this. So they purchased the Ice Capades and double the production budget and double everything. And now they formed 3 companies that toured, one of them internationally and 2 in the United States and Canada, one in the major cities, one in the smaller cities. So basically, they were looking to double the cast, and my job to start off, they had the showgirls that would come out, and I was a marginal ice skater at best when I started. But I had just enough talent to skate, have the arm out, and escort the showgirls around, and then it went from there to that was my first or second season, and during the second season, I contacted the sound man. They had a sound man and no assistant, and he set up. At that time we would have a 16-piece orchestra. 4 of them were with the show, traveled the whole run of the show, and they picked up musicians in each city, and the music was played live. So I became, besides skating in the show, I became the assistant to the sound man, and I would help set up the microphones, music stands, get all that going, and then I would go back to becoming a performer. And then the second night that the show opened, I would be taken out of half of the show and mix the sound, and he would walk around and listen to what the sound mix was like and make the additional changes. So, and my contact with him, I was from Pennsylvania, and this gentleman, Joey, was from Philadelphia area. So we hit it off, we became friends, and I had worked as his assistant for, I think, about 2 years. And when you're on the road with any show and you're traveling and you stay in hotels, the hotel bar is your living room. When the shows are over, the cast gets together, everybody gathers there in the hotel rooms. And when the show expanded, they hired a Broadway lighting designer to do the lighting for the show. So in conversation, since I was working with sound and all, I got to, a lot of conversations with this gentleman, Jimmy Mosier, who was in the same graduating class as Jules Fisher, a really famous lighting designer who did a lot of shows here in Vegas. And he did, first big one was Pippin, as I recall, and that launched his career. And so this gentleman, Jim Mosier, and Jules Fisher stayed in contact and all. So as this tour goes on, I think we were somewhere in the Midwest, and Jimmy comes into the bar and said, I've got a problem. Dad purchased the first Colonel Sanders franchise in Florida, and it's taken off, and both my sister and I have to go back and help Dad run the business because it is just expanding like crazy. He said, and I have to get away from this lighting business and help my father with a company. So they were looking for a replacement, and the running joke, whenever I would make a mistake with audio, the audio tech Joey would say, "There's my dummy," So that was our running thing. So Joey mentions to him that he said, "Look, perhaps Tony would be interested in doing it." So I had gotten along real good with the company manager and the show producer because when the show would open each year, I was probably one of the only. This is what he had told me. The producer of the show, he says, "You're the only one that remembers what we did 2 months ago and went away on vacation and started the show." So fortunate with my ability of a little bit of recall.
Yeah.
He said, "If you want to apprentice with them, we'll give you a shot." So I did that for, it was probably early spring, maybe April through June, I apprenticed with Jimmy. I was with him during the day. We'd go over, we also, just a backup to this, the lighting involved, we had a lighting console, and we carried, I think there were 48 dimmers, and there were lights around the edges of the ice and all. But the main lighting was done with follow spots. Minimum, wherever we played, the minimum was 10. And when we played Madison Square Garden, there were 24 spotlights. And I was fortunate to play the old Garden on 48th and 8th Avenue, only 1 year. And then that closed, and then they built what is presently now the existing Madison Square Garden. And they installed 24 spotlights. To simplify it, normally I would cue with minimum 10, if I could get them 14 follow spots. So I just cut everything in half. When we were at the Garden, there would be a number 1 and a 1A, 2A. So it made the cue calling a lot easier. And so that was the job during the performance. I would call the follow spots, give them the color frame they had to be in, and then the lighting console, we called that a board cue number. So I would cue all the lighting that way.
Wow.
Startups, backups, give them, they're going to pick up one person. So a typical cue to get 3 colors on a single performer, the way you broke up, there would be 5 lights on each side of the arena. So they'd give you the minimum of 10. And just to make a quick example of queuing. To get them to pick up one person, I would queue 1, 5, 6, and 10, frame 1, 2, 4, 7, and 9, frame 3, 3 and 8, frame or white, frame 5 or 6. You'll be full body on a lady at center ice, standby, and electric 16, go. And you queued this constantly. The show was an hour and 5, and then an intermission and another hour and 5. So it was constant queuing, and that was the job of the lighting director. And the way the first show was done, Jimmy had put this new show together, and then he was finished. So I sat with him as he did all the programming of all the follow spots where they would go, the colors. He selected the colors and gave me the reasoning why he would use a certain pink or a blue, skin color, costume enhancement. Oftentimes we would flood the whole arena for a production number, then all 10 spots would be in a certain color and so on. So I learned about color through Jimmy, and it was a tremendous education. He was a graduate of Carnegie Mellon, the same as Jules Fisher, and it was at that time, that was the school to go if you wanted to move on to Broadway or do anything in a large entertainment venues. If you had that credential behind you, you were. So I was really, really fortunate. A lucky guy. So I had done the lighting. That year followed through with the lighting that Jimmy had set up, and then the producer said, "You can handle this." So he gave me the job as the lighting designer. I was scared beyond being scared, believe me. And
how old were you at this time?
at that time, I was 20. I started with the show when I was 18. I was 22.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really fortunate. And scared.
That's pretty young to be put in charge of something like that.
Oh God, yeah. It was just amazing. I was really, but so now it's my first time in Atlantic City Convention Hall, a massive convention hall, and I had 14 follow spots, 5 down each side and 4 at the end, and they were called covers. They were your overall washes all the time to light the arena. And so I would watch the rehearsals and come up with the cue calls that I would want to use and the color types for each number, production number. And we had different headliners. We had world champion pair skaters, singles, skating artists from Japan. We had a Japanese skater who was a Major League Baseball player. And this guy had massive legs from playing baseball. And he would skate with flaming torches and do jumps and backflips and all this stuff. So it was kind of a unique thing. But we would have pair skaters like you've seen in the Olympics now, world champion pair skaters, singles. And a lot of their lighting requirements, because the ice surface for an ice show is half the size of a Olympic ice surface. Now the Olympic ice surfaces are 100 by 200. The ice show was 65 by 145. So these skaters that are used to moving at a quick pace in a big area, now you have to open up the follow spots so they can see in front or in back of them, and they have to. Otherwise, you're skating into a void.
Yep.
And you're talking. Now I'm dating myself. These were thing called carbon arc follow spots.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, this is that's how far back we go.
The best light there is, though.
Yeah, it was.
It's just the most,
because it had a
best
live light. The light flickered because it was a flame.
Yeah.
And it was the most unique lighting, and that was in all of the theaters. The movie houses were done with carbon arc back in the day. Any movie that you saw. So, bottom line, I had done this for. Let's see, after my second year, they gave me the task of, I had an assistant who now Steve Fenton was his name. He had a family act, and he would skate and hold 2 sisters on his arms and skate around, and had is an incredible athlete. He's now in Las Vegas, had a whole career in Vegas with MGM as technical director, because when I retired, Steve took over as lighting designer. So, yeah, that's kind of passed the torch on to him.
And his name was Steve Fenton?
Steve Fenton.
Huh.
Yeah. Yep.
I don't recognize that name, but that doesn't mean anything. I didn't do just a little bit with MGM and all that. So
Okay. Yeah, he did one of the big shows at MGM. I can't recall right now. It's part of the aging process. When someone says to me the name, that's the kiss of death. You go,
yeah,
okay.
the guy I remember was over there was Bill DeAngelis,
Okay.
and that dates me back to 1980. It's
okay.
just that was a while ago too.
So I had a great career with the ice show, but you're traveling 46 weeks a year. And
Brutal.
Yep, it was very difficult. Pay was not all that great, but I got to meet in all these towns. I got to meet a lot of great stagehands. Everything, all these houses were IA houses. So I met the business agents at the most incredible. I'm going off on a tangent here.
That's okay.
Most incredible.
This is your show.
Most incredible electric crew was the crew at the Chicago Stadium, which now is gone. That was the Chicago hockey house, and they had the first xenon follow spots other than the ones that were in New York City. But their business agent, I was really lucky. The electric crew, we played Chicago for 2 weeks. They were the full-time, and most of them were contracted workers at the Chicago Opera House. So these guys had some real chops. It was amazing, and some incredible, countrywide, they were hands down, there was no comparison, the best follow spot operators you could have. They could pick up someone, and these are big arenas. We had one time, I had an act. There was this lady from Italy, an Italian champion, and her act, she was really a skater and ballerina, and the lighting cue I had that when it worked, you pulled it off, it was just great. We had one follow spot behind the stage, and we would pick her up in a head spot. She was kneeling on the ice, and you would have to pick her up in a head spot, kneeling, and then start to open up. And as she would stand, you'd open the full body, and then slowly bring all the other spots in. These guys nailed it every time, and it was the only city where they could pull this cue off perfectly. It was amazing, But I got to meet a lot of great folks touring the country, a lot of incredible people there. And when the show would end in LA, we would play the LA Sports Arena for a 3-week period. And at night, my assistant would do the show at night, and during the day, as soon as the show was over, they would drop black curtains. We would cover the whole arena from the edge of the ice up into the seating as far. We shot in 16 millimeter, so the whole arena was blacked out, and we came in with a boom, and they shot with, I can recall, there was one camera on a gigantic boom that was, this was a film industry boom, a Titan boom, I think they were called, and it had mercury in it. So it had a nice fluid flow to cause the boom to travel left and right and up and down. And we would shoot the ice show commercials for all 3 shows during the day. And now that the day call is over, strip all the black curtains, tie them up on the catwalks above, and then do a show at night. That went on. I did that for 3 weeks, and then the shows, all 3 shows broke and went on a sometimes 4 or 5 week vacation. And then I would go to the one city was Duluth, Minnesota, and open the company that just closed, the national company. The lighting director that would be on the second company, I would break him in doing the cues that we had just done the year before on the big show, and he would take over, and then he passed that knowledge down to the third show. So It was a progression of the lighting, whatever the lighting design was, it transferred for 3 years running.
Nice.
So yeah. One regret, I had an opportunity to give up doing the national company and tour Japan, and I thought, I know all these people, but as it turned, I turned it down, and the tour was so successful. They then played Japan and Australia, so it wound up being almost a 1-year gig.
Wow.
I can't say it's a regret, but it was one of those career choices at that point that I made. I thought, I think I'll stay where I am and be comfortable there. So those years passed, and what I wanted to do was get a job in the studio in L.A.
We're going to have to just pause right there for
sorry.
just a minute because, believe it or not, we've already done one episode.
Oh.
No, I think that's awesome. You're on a roll, man. So we'll be right back. I have a little announcement here to make, and then we'll be back in just a couple minutes and start episode number 2. You're listening to It's Showtime, the Craig L. Hayes Show.